Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the WorryFree Retirement with your host, the author and creator of the WorryFree Retirement himself, Tony Walker.
Well, hello and welcome to the WorryFree Retirement. I'm Tony Walker, and you're about to watch the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money. For about the next 30 minutes, I'm going to guide you through a journey of information that some of you may not be used to watching. That's because over the past 20 or 30 years, however long information like this has been on TV, it's really been geared towards investors. Many things about the stock market and various products that assume that everybody's wired for risk, which is basically the stock market. And of course, as you know, I'm a registered investment advisor. The stock market has a place. But on this show, for savers, folks like my granddad, those people who love what I call mailbox money, those people may want to look at other alternatives other than the stock market, and that's what this show is all about, helping educate savers and helping them worry less about money. By the way, this show is being recorded on November 18th, 2013. The reason I share that with you is because the show is rebroadcast to several stations throughout the country, and with financial information, sometimes I even forget that, I could be sharing information today, things change tomorrow, and the information seems like it's out of character or something. So again, information today is recorded on November 18th. For those of you in the other markets, we'll be telling you more about this later, you have an opportunity to win all three of my books absolutely free. Over the years, I've had a chance to author 3 different books. The first book, which deals with clarifying your vision and what you might want for retirement and what retirement looks like for you, that's called the WorryFree Retirement. An exciting new way of thinking. That book is going to be absolutely free to the first 10 folks that contact us. Again, we'll tell you how to do that in a minute. The second book is also going to be available for free. Don't Follow the Herd. It's an interesting story about a kid named Wally World who gets tied up in the financial world, and then also some very safe and secure products savers can look to that they're not used to seeing again from the investment world. And then finally, the latest book that I think is going to be a game changer, The 3 Personalities of Money. So later on, we'll tell you how to get all 3 of those books absolutely free. Now, you have to be the first 10 people that request those books. Again, they're absolutely free in all of our markets. That's a $49 value. Now, before we get into the show, if we've got it available, tying into the 3 Personalities of Money, there is a website I've created called 3personalities.com. There it is right now. So if you go to the number 3, personalities.com, and you can click on the little icon there that says Take the Test. Now, this is an absolutely free test, won't take you any more than 5 minutes, and this was tested out by a psychologist at Western Kentucky University, trying to create an unbiased way to help people determine their predominant financial personality, that being whether you're a saver, investor, or speculator. So I highly encourage you, as we talk about knowing thyself, highly encourage you to go to this website. Again, it's absolutely free. Very eye-opening experience to start thinking about your financial personality rather than just blindly throwing your money to the whims of what the financial world tell you. All right, as always, the show would be quite complete if I didn't introduce to you America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Aaron, how are you doing today?
Tony, always a pleasure to see you.
It's good to see you too. Now, we were talking before we went on, kind of an uneventful weekend for you. You usually got something always crazy going on with the young one at home, but not much happening this weekend.
Not a whole lot. Just had a sick wife at home, so I was taking care of her all weekend.
Well, good man, good man. You need to take care of Mama. I went to see the movie with Tom Hanks, Captain Phillips. I wanted to go up when I got ready to buy the tickets. I was got ready to say Saving Captain Phillips, but that was Saving Private Ryan. But anyway, the guy went and gave me the tickets anyway. I think as long as you hand the money over, they don't care if you got the title right or not.
Yeah.
But that was a very interesting movie, and you had a comment about that movie, and you said some of the people on board were interviewed. What did they say about the movie itself?
Well, that movie came out like not too long ago, and supposedly after it came out, a bunch of the survivors, or whatever you'd like to call them, I have not seen the movie, so I don't know exactly what happened, but apparently a handful of the survivors or people that were on the ship, they came out and were interviewed, and they said that is not how it happened at all. That's not what went down, So I guess it's just kind of a difference between, well, Hollywood realism and actually really what happened.
Yeah. You know, that's kind of like the financial world sometimes. You know, sometimes what people perceive the financial world to be or what's happening in the economy is not always the way things really go down. You got to kind of be behind the scenes, or you got to experience it. We're going to talk about taxes in a minute. I'm going to get into the stock market and some things to be concerned about there. But before we get started, I'll go over to the whiteboard. Why don't you tell the folks about Facebook and everything we got going on today?
I'd be happy to. Okay, so first and foremost, we just want to remind people that Tony has a Facebook page that we'd like you to go visit. It's the Tony Walker Financial Facebook page. Okay, if you just go to Facebook, type in Tony Walker Financial, it'll be the first one to come up. We've got over 100 likes on there. Now, what I'm asking you to do is to go to the Facebook page and like it, and you will be in the drawing. All you have to do is like the page, and your name will be put in the drawing each week to win the brand new Tony Walker Financial tote bag. Our winner last week was Ernie Stanley. Ernie, congratulations. We're getting that to you. If it hasn't already reached you yet, we're getting that to you, okay? So Ernie Stanley was our winner last week. So again, just go to Tony Walker Financial Facebook page and like it, and you will immediately be put in the drawing for a chance to win the Tony Walker Financial tote bag. The next item on our list, we've got the Tony Walker Financial YouTube channel. We want you to go to YouTube, simply type in Tony Walker Financial. It'll be the first one up there. It's Tony's smiling face. Click on that, subscribe to it. You'll be given updates on brand new videos we've got on there. We've got everything on there from annuities to retirement to should you be concerned about inflation. We've got all types of videos on there. We've got past episodes of the Worry-Free Retirement in case you've missed it. So again, Tony Walker Financial YouTube channel. Go there, subscribe, and we'll have updated videos for you. Tony, back to you.
All right, thank you, Aaron. You know, part of the theme today on this show, the great writer Spurgeon once said, people sometimes know what they believe, but they don't believe what they know, and vice versa. Aaron, if you're ready over there on the Elmo, I want to show you a quote I took from Warren Buffett, who most people know is a great investor. Look at this particular quote taken out of page 55 of the Three Personalities book. Warren Buffett says, define what you don't know as well as what you do know, and stick to what you know. All right, thanks, Aaron. My concern for a lot of savers over the years, and I talk about my granddad a lot, is my granddad stuck to the things he knew, and he stayed away from the things he didn't know. And that's the problem right now in the financial world. And many of you, I'm afraid, are going to get caught in what I call the commodity casualty trap. You're watching what's going on, and many of you have been on the sidelines with the stock market. And now, just about now, when things are looking really, really rosy with the market, I'm concerned that many of you savers out there who probably shouldn't have a lot of your money, if any, in the stock market because of your concerns and what happened in the past, you're going to jump right back in. Again, we're going to cover some tax issues and things later on through the show. We got an interesting story also to show you where we followed someone around in their recent retirement. But I want to show you this example of the market. Now again, I'm the first to admit that the market does two things. It's guaranteed to go up, and it's guaranteed to go down. The problem is we just never know when it's going to really go up and go down. If you don't believe me, just watch for about 30 to 40 minutes some of the financial shows and watch how many different people talk about the different things. One says it'll go up, one says it'll go down. But I want to show you a pattern here. If we can kind of zoom in on this graph, and this is not to scale, by the way, folks, but I want to show you something. Look at this. With the stock market, and we're going to talk about taxes in a minute. Remember back in 1986, we had a very, very high market, and all of a sudden it took a dip. I remember I was in the Noon Lions Club back then and went to, I was in the securities business, got in 85, and boy, this happened, it scared the bejesus out of me. Dropped 20% in one day. Then the market crept back up, and then we saw 94 was a pretty big drop, not huge, but it dropped again. Now again, 7 or 8 years roughly was the time span. Then we had the infamous 9/11, which really changed my outlook. You know, I was managing money from about here to here, having a lot of fun, making a lot of money for a lot of people, and then all of a sudden 9/11 hit, and everybody's accounts went down, and I kept making money on people's money, and that didn't seem quite fair, but that was kind of how the gig works, and it still works today. Now here we are again. We went up to 2007. I know a lot of you really remember this. And this is when a lot of people, I remind them, more than likely, nobody was calling you, telling you to get out of the stock market in 07. I've met very few people that ever told me that. And here we know what happened. All the way down it went, some people losing 50, 60. I've even seen 70% losses. And now guess what? We're way up here as of the date of this show. We're up close to 16,000 in terms of the Dow. And what do we have? We have savers, who I know you're very frustrated, and there are very good options out there. We'll talk about those in a minute. But you're earning maybe 1% in the bank, and you're seeing all your buddies and your friends maybe in the stock market, or you think they're in the stock market. That's another thing too. When people talk about how much money they make in the market, a lot of these people don't have a lot of money in the market. They're talking about the money they have in the market making money, but that may only be 10 or 20% of their net worth. Most people I meet do not have all their money in the stock market. But here's what I'd like to say about this. Right here. The problem is, you've got to define this yourself. But what if the market were to go down here? At what age are you right now? Do you have time to go back to work? Do you have time to revisit this? Remember, the worry-free retirement is not trying to chase returns. It's about understanding cost, knowing thyself, and investing in products that are suitable to your situation. All right, we're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the difference between tax deferred and tax postponement, and also some more about annuities and other information. It's going to be very helpful. You stay tuned. I'll be right back. How would you like to find a trusted advisor in your area who practices and preaches the same safe money solutions that I speak of on this program? Well, you can by simply logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and clicking on the Find an Advisor link. Once there, just fill out the confidential profile and submit it. This free service is available to savers who are serious about safeguarding their money. So what are you waiting for? Stop worrying and log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Well, welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. I'm Tony Walker, and you're watching the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money. Our theme for today's show is kind of knowing thyself, and we're playing on this quote by Warren Buffett that really is emphasizing stick to the things you know and avoid the things you don't know. One of the things that's concerned me over the years is, again, anytime we're talking about one or two different items, we're not trying to make blanket statements here. I don't like the one-size-fits-all mantra you're hearing. So when I'm talking about avoiding the stock market, we're talking about savers who possibly don't want to be in the market. We're not talking about everybody and his brother out there avoiding the stock market. The same thing, I got to be very cautious of what I'm going to talk about here today. But that's the 401k plan. And this idea that 401ks, by maxing out your 401k, which everybody's told you to do, is going to save you taxes. So what I've done to try to help you understand the difference between tax deferred and tax postponement is a huge difference. So you're going to want to really watch these next 4 slides. So let's take a look at this. Let's imagine, and I call this the tax tumor. Let me set the stage here. Let's say that you go to a doctor and you're having some arm trouble. There's a strange pain in your arm, and you ask the doctor, you say, hey doc, I got a problem here. What's going on? They do some x-rays, and he comes back, or she comes back, and says you've got a tumor, and it's a cancerous tumor. And then you might say, well, do I have to get it out now? And the doctor might say, well, no. But obviously, if you don't get it out now, it's probably going to grow. So you've got to deal with it. Well, think of the tax liability, the tax debt you're going to owe the IRS. Think of it as a tumor built into your IRA or 401k. This could also be your thrift plan, 403b. So what we're going to do is we're going to see what really happens here. All right, let's imagine you have $200,000 sitting in what we call a qualified account. We'll just call it an IRA. And let's imagine over the next 30 years it grows at 5%. And let's imagine, we're going to have to assume the tax rates stay the same, but let's just say your federal tax rate is 30%, and depending on the state you live in, they're going to get their cut of 5%. Let's go to the next slide and see how this is going to grow. All right, in a perfect world, all right, let's say you never touched this account, you've been working for the past 30 years. If you took $200,000 at 5% in 30 years, you will have in that account, in this example, $864,000. Now leave it right there on that screen. Aaron, you chime in here. Make sure Aaron's mic's on here. Just leave it on that screen. Aaron, that looks like a lot of growth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you had a tax tumor in there and you knew the tax tumor was growing, what if I told you the tax tumor could even be bigger? You'd probably want to know that right now, wouldn't you? Or would you just put it off and assume that everything will be all right down the road?
No, absolutely. I'd want to know if it was going to get bigger.
And you'd want to know at least. And what if possibly the people that control the tax laws out there, what if that tax tumor could even grow larger than we anticipated? Could that happen? I mean, could Congress change the laws and maybe increase taxes?
Sure they can.
Oh, of course they can. So let's kind of look at this. So here's how I want you to think of this, folks. Think of the tumor as a debt or a liability, just like a lot of you have debt on your home. The difference is, rather than the debt going down, the debt is going up because, unfortunately, as the account goes up, the taxes are still owed. Let's go to slide 3. And this is where you're going to see the example of, am I really saving taxes in this example? Again, the only way to know if you're saving taxes is you would have to determine the future tax rates, which we would all agree are impossible. We don't know what they're going to do with tax rates. So let's just say today this person in a 30% bracket, federal, 5% state, liquidated the $200,000. You see that, Aaron? They would owe the government $70 grand. So how much money do you really have in your pocket?
130.
130,000.
Yeah.
So you don't really have 200,000.
No.
That may be what you put on your financial statement for your latest bank loan, but that money is really not all your money. Now let's see what happens using the same tax rates if we go out to the next slide, out 30 years. Look at the tax tumor. It's $342,000. It's a big number, isn't it?
Yeah.
And here's the problem. Okay, thank you. Here's the problem with all this, folks. Most of you all don't have a plan for dealing with the tax tumor. And even if you die one day, you say, well, won't the tax tumor just go away? No. Unfortunately, with these 401ks and these IRAs, this tax tumor is passed right down to your beneficiaries or to your children or grandchildren. And depending on their tax situation, this is where it really gets scary. They could be an even higher bracket. So let me ask you this. Let's say you were in a 25%, 30% bracket now. One day in 30 years they change the laws and maybe it's 40 or 50%. Maybe you got a son that's a doctor or a daughter who's a whatever, an Indian chief, I don't know. But they're making a lot of money and then they're going to be taxed at their rate. So you see, folks, there's a lot that savers can do. What we try to help savers do is, again, not chase returns, but to examine these 401ks and these IRAs now. Don't put it off. What I found is savers don't like surprises. Savers want a game plan, and that's what we're going to try to do for people. And in a minute, I'm going to show you how we can set up a game plan for this particular instance and how the worry-free retirement process is engineered to help people think through these difficult decisions. Before we get to that, though, I'm really excited about something. Occasionally, I'll introduce this concept called perfecting your walk. Some of you may remember back in one of our first programs, I talked about the first book I ever wrote was called Perfecting Your Walk in Retirement, and that was later changed to the Worry-Free Retirement. But I like to keep this same theme going of perfecting your walk. And the concept is, as you grow and mature in life, you should learn more about life. Things should get better. It's not that we ever reach perfection, but it's that we're going to strive for perfection. Again, it's been said that perfection is the standard and direction is the key. So we got to have some direction, and that's what a good retirement specialist helps consumers do. Gives them the direction, gives them things to improve their lives, and more importantly, helps them enjoy their money. So what I decided to do with the help of America's favorite financial sidekick, I want to set this up. Aaron, you basically took off with your little camera in hand, and you visited, we'll just call them this particular couple. We won't say any last names or where they're located, but somebody that I recently took on as clients. And I think the story is going to tell itself. So, folks, I think you're going to enjoy this. Aaron recently shot this, so we're ready to roll the video. And then, Aaron, you can kind of close it out after this video. I want you to watch this video, and the next time you see somebody that says you got to have a gajillion to retire on, you're going to find out that that's not always the case. Hope you enjoy this. We'll be right back after this.
On a simple but large plot of land sits a simple but beautiful home.
My grandfather made that.
Occupied by an extraordinary couple. I'd like you to meet Brian and Anita. Married 36 years, Brian and Anita found themselves at a point where they wanted to kick back and start enjoying the life they had worked so hard to build.
Retirement for us was all about having time to be together. And always the goal.
Always the goal was to
here.
be here. Always the goal was to retire here. This has always been home.
With the idea of retirement on their minds, they simply thought that based on what they had heard, it was an impossible dream.
You think, I can never retire. I'll never be able to retire.
The biggest concern is that we're going to outlive our money. That was our biggest concern. And Tony showed us how to eliminate that worry, to eliminate that concern.
Now, with a game plan in place, they are enjoying their money and living worry-free.
We could have probably done better than we did had we known what we were doing. People are afraid, and the best way to conquer that fear is to be prepared for it.
Before we wrapped up for the day, I asked Brian and Anita if they had any advice for viewers watching this.
There we go.
And they left me with a simple but important suggestion.
You start putting away money. If it's $1 a week, start putting it away. And talk to somebody like Tony who can show you how to plan and how to lay the groundwork so you can do this.
For nearly 30 years, I've made it my life's work to help savers worry less about money. And now I invite you to personally contact me to discuss your situation to see if I can help you. It's very easy. You just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and click on the Meet with Tony link. Or if you like, you can attend one of my free financial workshops. As always, there's never any cost or obligation to meet and discuss your situation in private. So what are you waiting for? Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. I hope you enjoyed that last segment. Aaron did a great job on that. And I want to kind of help you understand how these folks were able to do that, what kind of mechanism I use in the WorryFree Retirement to walk through this process. And of course, again, we have advisors possibly in your area. If you're outside the Southern Kentucky area, we have advisors. Let's go to the website real quick again. It's at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. If you're interested in a no-obligation review of your situation, just click on Find an Advisor in your area. By the way, while you're at the website, let me show you how to get this free book offer. All you have to do is click on the Contact Tony at the top of the website. At the very top, click on Contact Tony. Give me your name, your full mailing address and phone number, and say, send me the free books. The first 10 people in all 10 of our markets that we have, all 10 markets, the first 10 people that request the books through the website, again, this is a $49 value, absolutely free. We'll even cover the shipping. We'll send you all 3 books, WorryFree Retirement, Don't Follow the Herd, and the 3 Personalities of Money. But again, you got to go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, put your name, phone number, address, and we'll get those to you. If you don't put all that in there, we cannot get you that information. All right, real quickly, let's go through our process. We'll cover this in more detail. Let's take a look at this. How does the WorryFree Retirement process, and why is this so unique? What we did with Anita and her husband, we first clarified their vision. I helped them, literally, try to help them understand what it would be like in retirement, and you heard him say we always wanted to retire here. Very focused, that was their goal. Then, as a retirement specialist, I assessed their situation. I looked at their current assets. I looked at their current expenses. And we were able to assess that, yes, we could do this, especially through the help of what we call fixed annuities, which are going to provide lifetime income, or what I like to call mailbox money. The third thing we do in our process, we created a game plan, and they had to commit to it. You know, it's not the job of the retirement specialist to commit the game plan. The retirement specialist is to create the game plan, and it's your job to commit. And once you commit and you have this in writing and it's very visible, like they explain, it really makes my job a lot easier. Number 4 of this process, the 4th thing you got to do is implement the game plan. One of the problems with a lot of game plans out there is they're very confusing. They're very cumbersome. Maybe there's even somebody trying to sell you a product, but they don't even help you implement anything. Always get a second opinion if you feel, number 1, people are moving too quickly, and if you can't really see a game plan. A product, whatever the product is, I don't care if it's an annuity, bond, stock, that's not a game plan. That's part of a process. You've got to have a written game plan. And then the 5th step of this process, which we will do with these kind folks, is roughly, when everything changes is the best time, but roughly once a year or so, we'll check in to monitor, notice the key word, progress. You know, we don't want to go backwards here. We're hopefully going to meet with these people. Things are going well, and we might have to readdress things. And then the process starts all over, because more than likely, what I've found in doing this for almost 30 years, things will probably change. Things will come up. They always do. But that's why you have to re-clarify that vision. That's why you have to stay on top of this. So again, I hope you've enjoyed a look at the Worry-Free Retirement and what I would encourage you to think about doing. Again, if you're down in the Southern Kentucky area and you would like to meet with me personally, where our offices are located, it's very simple to do so. You can call the toll-free number on your screen, or you can simply go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on the Meet with Tony. By the way, for those of you that didn't get in on a free book offer, the books are available at Amazon.com as well. The second thing you can do if you're outside the Southern Kentucky area, go to Find an Advisor in your area, and at no cost or obligation, we will have someone contact you to go over your situation and to share some of the same safe money ideas that we speak of on this show. Well, speaking of shows, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. And again, if there's anything we can be of help with, or if you have questions you'd like us to air on the show, you can simply go to the website, give us those questions, and we'll try to get those on and I'll answer them very soon. In the meantime, I'm Tony Walker, the creator of the Worry-Free Retirement, saying I hope you make it a very good day. How would you like to find a trusted advisor in your area who practices and preaches the same safe money solutions that I speak of on this program? Well, you can by simply logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and clicking on the Find an Advisor link. Once there, just fill out the confidential profile and submit it. This free service is available to savers who are serious about safeguarding their money. So what are you waiting for? Stop worrying and log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Just a couple of reminders. We want you to go to Tony Walker's Financial Facebook page and like it. We want you to go to Tony Walker's YouTube channel and subscribe to it. And we want you to be one of the first 10 to email Tony to get his 3 free books. Do all 3 of those. Tony?
All right, thank you, Aaron. You all have a good day, and a lot to cover next week. So We'll see you next time on the Worry-Free Retirement. Make it a good one.
You've been watching the Worry-Free Retirement with financial advisor Tony Walker. To ask Tony a question or to find an advisor in your area, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.